shit, yeah, they bread stank. Walk up in the club, dripping like I'm fresh paint. I can see through the facade like an...
What's going on, fight fans? It's another great day when you love MMA. Welcome back to Matty Fight Talk. Bellator 288, it's going down November 18th at the Wintrust Arena in Chicago, Illinois. It's going to be a banger of a fight card. We got two title fights going down that night. One of them's going down the light heavyweight division between Vladim Nemkov and Corey Anderson. This will be the second time these guys face off. And the second title fight, we got Patricky Pitbull taking on Usman Nurmagomedov for the lightweight Bellator title, amongst other really good fights on the main card. But without further ado, let's jump right into the main event of this bad boy. It's Nemkov versus Anderson 2. We all saw what happened in the first fight. It was a no contest. A lot of the judges in that fight gave the first round to Nemkov. Corey Anderson clearly won the second round. To me, it looked like Anderson's wrestling was a little bit too much. The wrestling and the ground and pound was a little bit too much for Nemkov. Now, I took Nemkov winning in the first fight because I thought his ground game would be a lot more effective than what it was in that fight. I underestimated Anderson's wrestling. I didn't think that he was going to be able to do much against Nemkov, who is a pretty flashy striker, a pretty good striker as well. But it showed that Anderson's wrestling was a little bit more superior. His ground and pound definitely was effective. So we're going to see what happens. Now, Nemkov 15-2, Corey Anderson 16-5. He has 8 KOs. Nemkov has 10 KOs. So this is really interesting. Now that we have one fight down, are we going to see a similarity here? Now, Nemkov's on a 9-fight win streak until the no contest. His last fight was a no contest, but he is undefeated in Bellator. Now, Corey Anderson, he's on a 3-fight win streak, all finishes in Bellator, and this is excluding, obviously, the last no contest fight. It was an accidental headbutt, but they were 1-1 on the scorecards. Now, there's a few interesting things here. We have fights to look at for history-wise of, is this going to be the same thing that goes down in the second fight? We're going to see Anderson slowly start dominating the wrestling department, or is Nemkov going to make the proper adjustments since he kind of got a taste of how Corey Anderson wants to fight him? It's interesting because if you go back to the Aljo versus Petr Yan, obviously it's in the UFC, but if you go back to that fight, Aljo did not look good in the first fight. Yan was whooping that ass, then illegally kneed him on the ground. So a lot of people thought going into the second fight that it was going to be a lot more of the first fight where Petr was going to take over. Aljo literally did nothing in the first fight to show that he had a chance of winning, but it was the complete opposite. Aljo dominated the second fight. So my question is, are we going to see that happen in this fight? Are we going to see Nemkov make the proper adjustments and start handling Corey Anderson the way he is capable of doing? Now, like I said, I took Nemkov in the first fight. I don't see that happening. I think Corey Anderson's confidence shot through the roof. I mean, the guy's faced really high-level competition. He came over from the UFC, so he's used to being on a big platform. He's used to having these big fights. So I think that Corey Anderson is going to get the job done in this fight because Nemkov looked like he was going to get slowly dismantled throughout the fight. Now, Nemkov could probably make the adjustments, and I wouldn't be surprised if he won. I just don't see that happening. I think that Anderson definitely has the power standing up, but the grappling is definitely going to be in Corey Anderson's favor. I see Anderson slowly taking over the fight, and I think he's going to win by like a 4th round TKO due to ground and pound. I think Nemkov is probably going to win the stand-up, but I think Anderson's smart enough to take this fight to the ground consistently, considering the fact that he's already had a ton of success doing that in the first fight. I think the game plan stays the same. Can Nemkov make the proper adjustments? Can he get a submission going off of a takedown? Hopefully, but we'll see what happens. I mean, Corey Anderson's definitely a beast. So is Nemkov. This is a good fight regardless, but I got Corey Anderson winning by 4th round TKO. Now we move on to the second fight, the co-main event of the evening, the second title fight. Patricky Pitbull, the Bellator legend. Him and his brother have been in Bellator. They made Bellator what it is. They've helped build the organization up to what it is. And he's taken on a really dominant, lethal contender in Usman Nurmagomedov. Now, I got the pleasure to watch that man fight live in Tacoma, Washington. And I'm telling you, that dude is not afraid to stand and bang. And when it comes to the ground, those Nurmagomedovs don't play around. They get right to work. They do some nasty submission, sambo, jiu-jitsu, whatever you want to call it. They get to work when it comes to the ground. Now, Pitbull is 36 years old. Usman Nurmagomedov is 24 years old. So Pitbull has definitely been in the game for a long time. I mean, if you watch Bellator and you know anything about Bellator, that's a name that constantly pops up. The Pitbull brothers, they've been fighting forever in Bellator, and they have some really classic fights. Now, Pitbull, 16 KOs, 1 submission. He's 24-10. He is 3-2 in his last 5. Fought in Bellator since 2011. I mean, the guy's done crazy work. He has 12 KO, TKOs in Bellator. So the guy is definitely known for putting on a show-stopping performance. Now, Usman Nurmagomedov, on the other hand, this guy's 5'11". He does have the height advantage because Pitbull's 5'7". 15-0. He's undefeated. 8 KOs and 5 submissions. Extremely well-rounded when it comes to fighting. His last fight was against Chris Gonzalez, won via first-round submission. And 9 of his 13 fights are by first-round submission. 9 of his 13 wins or finishes by first-round submission, excuse me. But Usman Nurmagomedov is one of those guys, man. He's a very dangerous fighter, very long, lanky, knows how to throw some solid front kicks, uses the clinch very well. Pitbull's got cannons in his hands, known for knocking people out. These guys go to war. They're very durable, and Pitbull, I believe, he has underrated jiu-jitsu, underrated grappling. But I think that Usman Nurmagomedov, considering the fact that he is trained with Khabib and all of the guys in that camp, and the fact that I've seen this guy just dismantle people on TV and in person, he's not afraid to stand up is the main thing. For the camp that this guy comes from and all the grappling that they do and all the grappling they're known for, this guy has the best stand-up to me out of all of those guys. Khabib was probably second, but Usman definitely has good kicks, solid hands, really good clinch strikes, nice knees. It's not going to be an easy fight standing up for Pitbull, but I think as soon as this fight touches the floor, he's going to get a submission. So I'm going to say late second round, early third round, Nurmagomedov is definitely going to become the new lightweight champion. He has all the tools that he needs to win this fight. Pitbull's old, he's withered. He definitely has the power if he can land a solid strike. Pitbull's one of those guys, man, like when he goes to battle, he goes to battle. So he is a durable fighter. I just think that Usman he's so good at finishing fights, and he's so good at knowing what to do and what position to be in. I think that he's going to take his time and slowly dismantle Pitbull, and it's not going to take him longer than 4 rounds. So I got Usman Nurmagomedov winning this fight by a 3rd round submission, most likely. And the winner of this fight, I believe, is going to be facing AJ McKee, because Pitbull's brother down at 145 definitely ducked him. Didn't want to fight him again. They're 1-1. So I see that AJ McKee's going to move up and possibly take on the winner of this fight. But I got Nurmagomedov winning. Hit me in the comments. Let me know who you guys have. Further down the fight card, we got Daniel Weichel taking on, and I'm sorry if I butchered your name. It's Weichel, something like that, taking on Akhmed Magomedov. Now, this fight's very interesting because of Weichel's record. He brings in a shit ton of experience. The dude's 42-13. That's an insane record. That's like, what, 55 professional fights? That's pretty crazy to have that much experience under your belt. That means you're extremely comfortable in the sport of combat. Now, Weichel has 6 KOs and 22 submissions. That's just crazy. He's on that Charles Oliveira level of submissions. 3-2 in his last 5. He's been a pro since 2002. Think about how crazy that is. That man's been professionally fighting in a very dangerous sport where anything can happen, injuries happen, since 2002, 20 years running. That's amazing. What an accomplishment that is, seriously. 16 Bellator fights. He's lost 2 title fights to Patricio Pitbull and 21 first-round finishes. He has more first-round finishes than some people have professional fights, so that's really crazy to think about. Now, Akhmed Magomedov, on the other hand, this guy's 5'7", 68-inch reach. He's 9-0, and he has 5 submissions himself. 1 Bellator debut in the first round, in a minute 16 of the first round, nonetheless, via submission. So this is going to be a very interesting fight. Now, Magomedov, realistically, is getting put in there with a lion. Daniel Weichel's been fighting forever. The guy has a shit ton of experience. But those guys from Russia, man, they're so damn good, especially on the ground. Now, you got 9-0 taking on 42-13, 9 professional fights versus 55. That's kind of a mismatch to me. But I still think that Akhmed Magomedov is so good and so talented that he's going to get the job done. These guys are probably going to end up offsetting each other when it comes to grappling. We're going to have to see what happens here, because Magomedov, I've watched the guy fight. I think I've watched this guy live, actually. But regardless, he's extremely talented, and he's really good at positioning. Weichel is a finisher, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But I think Akhmed Magomedov is going to get the job done, and he's going to win a 3-round decision. Now, if we move further down the fight card, we got Tyrell Fortune taking on Daniel James. 32-year-old Fortune taking on the 40-year-old Daniel James. These are some big, bad boys going down in the heavyweight division. Tyrell's 6'2", 249 with a 77-inch reach. Then you got Daniel James. He's 6'5", 263 with an 82-inch reach. Now, these are some big bangers. And Bellator heavyweight fights do not let down. These are like some of my favorite fights to watch. Now, Tyrell Fortune, he's 12-2 with 7 KOs and 2 submissions. And you got Daniel James, 13-6-1, 9 KOs and 3 submissions. So Tyrell Fortune's had 5 first-round finishes, all under the Bellator banner. This guy's an animal, man. He's one of those guys, very athletic-looking heavyweight. He's still got that youth on his side. Then you got Daniel James. He's 4-1 in his last 5. 5 first-round finishes. Hasn't fought in Bellator since 2011. So he's on an 8-year hiatus from Bellator. But that guy's been doing some serious work in other organizations like the LFA. I love heavyweight fights in Bellator. These guys are some big, bad motherfuckers. Daniel James is huge. That guy's going to be a monster taking on Tyrell Fortune. But now I just think that Tyrell's hands are so clean and he's got such a good stance and fight style for the heavyweight division. He's extremely athletic looking. And James is just a monster, man. He's overpowering. He hits hard. He has nasty ground and pound. I see Tyrell Fortune getting a knockout in the second round of this fight. These guys are going to come out. They're going to come banging. I think Fortune's going to land some shit early. James is going to try and shoot him for takedowns, try to get this fight to the ground. Eventually, I think it's going to get one of those fights where it's going to end up standing up and Fortune's going to get the better of him. I really do believe that. So I got Tyrell Fortune winning this fight. Moving down to the main card fight opener, we got Roman Faraldo taking on Levan Chokheli. I could be saying his names wrong. I'm terrible with names, so if I am, correct me in the comments. But we got Faraldo. He's currently undefeated, 8 wins, 8 KOs, 6 first-round knockouts, and he's undefeated in Bellator. Last one by first-round KO versus Luis Iniguez. I was there for that fight. He absolutely looks flawless on his feet. Now we go to Levan Chokheli, 10-2, 9 KOs, 2-2-1 in his last 5. He's 1-2 in Bellator. Last loss via submission by the best submission artist in Bellator, Goto Yamauchi, in the first round. So there's no shame in losing to that guy. I mean, the dude dismantles people when it comes to the grappling department. But this guy, Levan, is these are 2 bangers. These are 2 knockout artists. I just think that Roman Faraldo is so flashy, so fresh. I love the way that guy fights. He's extremely confident. He has heavy hands. I see Roman Faraldo getting a knockout in this fight, and I think it's going to go down in the second, maybe the third round. The first round, they're probably going to tag each other up. Maybe some grappling will go down. I believe that this fight will stand for the most part. Faraldo is just an animal on the feet. He can mix it up. He can do flying knees. He knocks you out with the hands. He's vicious as hell. I love watching that dude fight. And Levan's tough, man. It's going to be a tough fight. But I just think that he's going to get caught because Faraldo is just so nasty striking. So I got Roman Faraldo winning this fight. Like always, guys, hit me in the comments. Let me know what you guys think about this fight card. Who do you have in the main and co-main event? Hit the bell icon, wherever side it is, to be notified when I drop more content. Yeah, man, I will see you guys on the next one. Peace.
Haters talking shit, yeah, they breath stank. Walk up in the club dripping like I'm fresh paint. I can see through the facade like an